know if y'all have noticed a lot of this new celeb legal drama on Reddit that's very like anti Justin Baldoni stuff. And it's just really interesting right now. Let's see. There's a person that said, hold on. This one is from Baldoni files. We know that Baldoni files are the ones that are not fans of Justin. This one says, I did some digging to find comments from regular people about Justin Baldoni. The person said, I know no one is going to believe me, but this was actually the case. I have a friend who worked on the set and it was an awful experience for many. He's a lot more bizarre than his public image portrays. And then this one says, I know someone involved on the set, and it was one of the hardest sets they've been a part of. He really sucks. No one is wanting to hang out with him for a reason. Let's just put it that way. I really wish I could actually say some of the crap that happened, but it's so specific and bizarre. I don't want to somehow get traced back to me being the leak. But I don't want people to get it twisted. He was definitely the problem. Honestly, there's a lot. Some vague alleged things from what I heard he was in over his head and took it out on other people. The vibes were bad. He handled the WGA strike poorly. I wish I could tell you specifics. One story in particular is like, so bad it's good. I'm in a Hollywood unhinged way. I've known a lot of celebrity types like have been around A-minus list people who were all very nice. And the stories I heard about this guy are like top-notch weird. Seems to be a case of a dude with some success in the industry having a rich friend help him get a big project going, but he has a grandiose savior complex self-image, but it's actually the problem. I'm grateful for the sub. I tried to talk a little about it on the pop culture sub, just saying how people shouldn't immediately take his side just because he promotes himself as a feminist. They pillory anyone who isn't on his side. I hope they're embarrassed if what actually happened ever comes out. I'm not sure what exactly a big story would entail. I've just heard a lot of small stories that let me know that he's definitely a dude I don't want to hang out with. I really hope something does come out though, because I'm sick of hearing the wrong speculations and assumptions. Honestly, even if I did tell people here at least one of the stories is so like not normal that people 100% think I was BSing. LOL. I did get my first very my very first Reddit cares sent to me through sent sent to me though. That's fun. I'm gonna actually read it from this screen because that's bigger. I'm like all like this in my own screen here. Exactly. Honestly, I'm not a giant RR fan. Like his films and public persona are not my cup of tea, and never had any opinions regarding BL, etc. But hearing how they dealt with the situation made me like them as people. I really wish people clocked how bizarre it is that his big opportunity fell into his lap. That doesn't just happen. What? I really wish people clocked how bizarre it is that this big opportunity fell into his lap. That doesn't just happen. The man literally, what do you mean? The man literally optioned it before it became a big deal. That's how. He got it because he believed in it before it became a big deal. That's weird. I want to, I was tracking with this person until they said this. I was like, okay, sure. Okay, makes sense, I guess, if you believe in them. But this is wild to me. I'm genuinely thrilled you picked up on it. I am allegedly the book rights were bought by a very wealthy Baha'i friend who gave Justin the helm. I believe I heard allegedly the rich Baha'i friend was on set a lot too. I'm not sure how much experience he had in film previously, but I believe he stayed involved. Him goofing up and alienating everyone is definitely a bad look. This person's a plant. This person's a plant. I'm saying this person's a plant. That I wish they did not cross this person's name out. This person's a plant. I'm telling you right now. The way that this is written, that's a plant. That's a planted statement. I really sometimes think that the things that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds accuse others of, they've done. And to me, I don't know if I should screenshot this. I guess I have this on video. I won't be surprised if we find that why can't we, I wish we could see who this person was. I mean, but they responsibly like redacted, which I mean, I'm for, but it's very interesting. So wait a minute, actually, is this all the same person? It is. Okay, very interesting. Now I'm very interested. This is definitely someone planting. Okay, now we're actually gonna learn something, folks. We're gonna learn something. Because this will let us know the talking points and the issues that Ryan Reynolds and them actually had with Justin Baldoni. So first, I got to go back. Now that I know this is all one person, we're going to see themes. Let's look at the themes that this person was trying to push. I know no one is gonna believe me, but this was actually the case. I have a friend who worked on the set, and it was an awful experience for many people. He is a lot more bizarre than his public image portrays. Okay, so let's listen to the language that they used, right? They were going to start pushing things against his faith, right? That was the plan. They were going to make it weird, cultish, all of these different things. That was the plan. I know I haven't finished reading this guy's thing. I shouldn't assume gender. Maybe it's not a guy, but it feels very Ryan-esque. I know someone involved on the set, and it was one of the hardest sets they've been a part of. He really sucks. No one is wanting to hang out with him for a reason. Let's just put it that way. Really wish I could actually say some of the crap that happened, but it's so specific and bizarre. I don't want it somehow to get traced back to me being the leak. But I don't want people to get it twisted. He was definitely the problem. This person is worried that whatever information he shares will be so specific and bizarre, again, the word bizarre, that they will know that the leak is the person. Okay, Kenny, thank you. You said exactly my own thoughts. I'm glad you and Kenny and I thinking the same thing. How in the world is this person going to be seen as the leak when they claim it was a friend that told them this? Wouldn't it show that the friend is the leak, not them? And Kenny said the same thing. We are sharing a mind right now, Kenny. How could it be traced back to him as the leak if it's their friend? They said it was a friend, but then they are the leak? Immediate. Thank you. We both are tracking with each other here. That doesn't make any sense. How are you suddenly the leak? Your friend was the leak. You were allegedly never on set, right? But he just wants to make sure you know that Justin Baldoni is bizarre, that nobody wanted to hang out with him, and that he was the problem. Honestly, there's a lot. Some vague alleged things. From what I heard, he was in over his head and took it out on other people. That is probably true. I mean, in the sense of like, I've heard this, right? But we know why he was in over his head. Any other actor, aside from Blake Lively, would have made it a very easy set. She made it chaotic. But it says he was in over his head. I mean, that was one of the things that a Rolling Stone article, right, said that some crew felt that he was a little too green, that he was not ready to take on the role of the director for this kind of film. But really, I think they just think that because Blake Lively made it the way she made it. This is why people were thinking that he was going to come out with some like I'm a method actor, and it was going to excuse his behavior if he got snappy with people. But we know that he got snappy with people at times, and he apologized, right? Abachi, I'm pretty sure that's a woman. Okay, why do you think legally not Latina? You're pretty sure that's a woman, says Alex S. So because you think it's Juliet says Alex S. Are you thinking it's Alex Sachs? In over his head. Who else has said this? I mean, is there there's a deposition that said he was in over his head? I mean, I've read it in Rolling Stone. A crew member said that it seemed like that Blake Lively had higher expectations for him and how he would handle the set that she felt like he didn't do. Okay, the vibes were bad. He handled the WGA strike poorly. Okay, so I think this is going to give us really good intel, y'all. This person was telling on themselves. Okay, they didn't feel that he handled the WGA strike well. He handled the WGA strike poorly. How would somebody what crew member would know all this stuff? What crew member would say all this stuff? I wish I could tell you specifics. One story in particular is like, it's so bad, it's good, in a Hollywood unhinged way. I've known a lot of celebrity types, like have been around A-list people. I originally said that was A-, but I realize now it says A-list. A-list people who were all very nice. And the stories I heard about this guy are like top-notch weird. Okay, again, the language I think is going to push around his faith. Top-notch weird. So they've used weird and they've used bizarre They've used sucks. Seems to be a case of a dude with some success in the industry having a rich friend help him get a big project going, but he has a grandiose savior complex self-image, but is actually the problem. Again, the repetition of him being the problem, but this is the first introduction to Steve Sarowitz, and they're making a big deal again about him being rich. So again, feels like talking points from Ryan Reynolds, right? Grateful for the sub. I tried to talk a little bit about it on the pop culture sub, just saying how people shouldn't immediately take his side just because he promotes himself as a feminist. They pillory anyone who isn't on his side. I hope they're embarrassed if what actually happened ever comes out. So I wish dates were provided on this so we would know when this must be coming out. I wonder if it was coming out during August. Well, they said this was 10 months ago. So 10 months ago would be what? February? Okay, so if they wrote this 10 months ago, it's February. When did they take the snapshot that said 7 months ago? Huh. Anyways, okay. I'm not sure what exactly a big story would entail. I've just heard a lot of small stories that let me know he's definitely a dude I don't want to hang out with. Really hope something does come out though, because I'm sick of hearing the wrong speculations and assumptions. Honestly, even if I did tell people here at least one of the stories is so like not normal, the people would 100% think I was BSing. LOL. I did get my very first Reddit cares sent to me though, so that's fun. So again, this push that he's not normal, right? Kenny says, why would they be hanging out? Why would this person be close enough to hang out with him? Because this person's friend knew Justin. This person would be in danger of hanging out with him. And Shannon says, watch the not normal thing that happened was him slamming his hands on the director's chair. I wonder if it's the Russian bathhouse. So he said, exactly. Honestly, I'm not a giant RR fan. Like his films and public persona are not my cup of tea and never had any opinions regarding BL, etc. But hearing how they, I am so grossed out by that line. But hearing how they dealt with the situation made me like them as people. That tells me what kind of person you are. If the way they handle this is what made you like them as people, I'm grossed out by you. I'm literally, yeah, that is a super weird statement, Kenny said. And so if they're talking about weird, that's weird. Ooh, Shannon said this person sounds like Colleen Hoover's assistant. Yo. I think you might be right. Ooh, yo. I think you might be right. There's a possibility. There's a strong possibility. You definitely could make a case that this was Colleen Hoover's assistant. But I would need to see more. But I can see it. I can see the vision behind that. Who's Crystal Parks? Is that the person? Is that the name of the assistant? Because I don't know who that is. I mean, I know Colleen Hoover's assistant, but I don't know her name. Cora said, I've seen an uptick on people talking about Justin's faith. It's not a coincidence. And I will say that this particular one that we're reading right now was from 10 months ago. So this is not recent. So they've been pushing this up. If it is, we should look up how she writes, see if it is similar. Yeah, usually there's tells in how people write. Okay, so I really wish people clocked how bizarre it is that this big opportunity fell into his lap. That doesn't just happen. That to me is the weirdest thing for this person to say. It is so weird to say that. That it's bizarre that this big opportunity. The man literally bought the rights to the film before. So I'm telling you, this is a gripe that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively had. How did this random dude get this big deal of a movie? How did he land this? So to me, they talked about how bizarre, and they love to use the word bizarre. Does Crystal like to use the word bizarre? How bizarre it is that this big opportunity fell into his lap. It didn't fall into his lap. That doesn't just happen. Why doesn't it just happen? Let's just say it happened that way, but why doesn't that just happen? That doesn't just happen. And why is this person so twisted up about it? Weird. Okay, I'm genuinely thrilled you picked up on it with a laughing emoji. Ahem, allegedly, the book rights were bought by a very wealthy Baha'i friend who gave Justin the helm. Why does it matter that the guy was Baha'i? This is the push for about his faith. So they say, I believe I heard allegedly the rich Baha'i friend was on set a lot too. Okay, so we know that's not true. He was there twice. So this person did not know this. So this person was just putting this out there, but he was not. So we know that's not true. But I'm putting it down because it's the things that were being pushed out. I'm not sure how much experience he had in film previously, but I believe he stayed involved. Him goofing up and alienating everyone is definitely a bad look. You know what's interesting? There's no statement yet that gives you the impression that anything had to do with SH. So interesting. Okay. This person said a lot, which I'm thankful for. Let me tell you. Please, please give us more tells. Please. And then 2 months ago said, I tried to tell y'all back when all this started up. He's not a nice guy, and his public persona is not accurate. I know someone from the set, and the stories I heard were nuts. Again, why would you be the leak then? You're not the leak if it's your friend that knows. Beyond this stuff, there's just really extremely bizarre behavior. Remember how they said that Leslie was trying to push out stories about his faith? It's stuff like this. Beyond the stuff, there's just extremely bizarre behavior. I know people don't like Blake, but from what I heard, she tried her best in a terrible working situation. Again, nothing here yet talked about nothing yet talked about SH. How come there's no, how long does it take before they start talking about SH? These are all things that's geared towards his faith and a terrible working environment, but nothing that says, you know, and it's an interesting thing. This person says, I know that people don't like Blake. Terrible working situation. But when are they going to talk about SH? I was losing my mind when this first went down 4 months ago. I have a friend who worked on this movie and they said it was the worst experience they've ever had on a set. Worst experience? Worst experience. Where have we heard that before? They've ever had on the set. I don't mean to be giddy. I don't mean to be giddy, but that is Ryan Reynolds to use that verbiage. Now, obviously, somebody's going to be saying, like, please, somebody, a crew person could potentially say that. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. And yet, is it coincidence that this person's using same type of language? I don't know. Maybe it is a coincidence, but I got excited because I'm like, this sounds very Ryan. I so badly wish I could post some of the crazy stuff they told me, but he effing sucks. And it really broke my brain heart seeing so many people ride so hard for him. He envisioned, okay, look at this. He envisions himself as some Baha'i power player and is not grounded in the real world. Boom shakalaka, there it is. I'm so thrilled this delusional scumbag is finally getting his comeuppance. Y'all, this is juicy. This is juicy. I'm telling y'all, they have been after these people's faiths from the get-go. They have been after their faith from the get-go. This is not SH stuff, y'all. That's not necessarily crazy stuff, unfortunately. Kenny said, why are you so mad about someone your friend worked with? 100%. The emotion level, too high for someone hearing it, like, on that level. Oh, Kenny, you've been on fire tonight in your comment section because, yeah, Kenny says, sound personal or fictional. And to me, it sounds personal. Here's the thing that's so interesting, right? They still don't talk about SH. They just talk about bizarre, crazy, nuts, weird. That's the thing that they're trying to push about the faith. That's real interesting. So he envisions himself as some Baha'i power player. What does that even mean, that he envisions himself? I don't even know what that means. Legally Not Latina said Crystal has been pushing that SS was always on set. How would this person know? She was not there the whole time if it's the assistant. She said she was there on like 2 weeks or something. But then, wait a minute. Hello, Blake Lively was there for only 16 days herself in the first phase. So that's pretty much it. Gloria says, thank you for the super chat, Gloria, for $4.99. This sounds like Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively talking points. I just got here, but why does this sound like Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively talking points? Because it feels like it. It really does feel like it, Gloria. But I'm still stuck over this idea of a power player. What is a Baha'i power player? This delusional scumbag. That's personal. is finally getting his comeuppance. Feels very personal. I don't think there is such a thing as that either. Danger Doodle 88 says, is bigotry viewing non-dominant religions as weird or threatening? Yeah. Oh, that's and also Juliet, good point about there is no clergy in the Baha'i faith. So what would the power play be? I can say some stuff, but not a ton, especially since JB's PR psychos were talking about trawling Reddit. So I'm more paranoid than I probably should be. Oh no, be paranoid because we're now reading your stuff. And we're so excited that you were willing to spill your guts so much. And I'm so excited that Baldoni Files decided to dislike Justin Baldoni so much that they wanted to put this in for all of us to read. I mean, the legal docs are damning enough as is, but allegedly, for example, okay, they're gonna tell us some stuff. On the day Lively filmed the birth scene, my friend was telling me how awful and weird it was that JB's Baha'i friend was cast as the doctor, and how they realized a lot of the smaller roles were cast with Baha'i people, and joked that they were actually accidentally working on a Baha'i propaganda film. The producer billionaire friends were also Baha'i. This film was supposed to be the launch pad for JB to become to Baha'i what Tom Cruise is to Scientology. Boom, 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 boom. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. This was the story Leslie was trying to push. This was the story that Leslie was originally trying to push. I will tell you that right now. I don't know what her original story was, but I'm fairly sure it's gonna look like this. But this is very interesting. So this, I think, is the main thing I believe they were trying to push. So now they're saying that it was weird that everyone hired was Baha'i, as they thought. Um, they said my friend was telling me how awful and weird that JB's Baha'i friend was cast as the doctor. Think about that. Who would have been talking about that? Only Blake Lively. Because who else would feel that way? On the day that Lively filmed, my friend was telling me how awful and weird. Y'all, this again has nothing to do with SH. It had everything to do with the fact that they were Baha'i. She didn't. This person's not framing this as an SH moment. It was basically when we were talking about how how Blake Lively does not make an allegation against Adam, who's the doctor. This is because she doesn't make an accusation because this is what she was feeling. She didn't like that he was Baha'i. She didn't like that everybody on the set seemed to be Baha'i associated. So awful and weird, that role seemed to be going to Baha'i cast, to Baha'i associated, I guess. And they thought that producer billionaire friends were also Baha'i, and this film was supposed to be a launch pad for JB to become to Baha'i what Tom Cruise is to Scientology. Are they off their rockers? Why did they think this? The accusation that JB wanted to use It Ends With Us as the vehicle to become what Tom Cruise was to Scientology. That's not even, she was saying that Justin Baldoni wasn't living in reality. I feel like this person was not living in reality. Okay. I feel like it's always a bad sign when a dude makes his living in part from being a feminist. It's a weird thing to monetize. Okay, this is so much Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds talking points. He and his producer friend were toxic bros, but he would constantly be explaining things to women because he was the one with feminist credentials. He was the biggest and best feminist. LOL. This person is talking as there is no friend. I'm sorry, you don't write like this. You don't write like this if really your friend was the one. This person is talking like they know stuff. This is not a friend told me. No, this is you. This is you. Stop saying a friend. You're switching voices too much. They forget that they're supposed to be acting like a friend told them this instead of themselves. Was always adding unnecessary crap to scenes. And yeah, directing a big movie during a strike is not ideal at all, but they handled it super poorly. Besides being a delusional sociopath, who else uses the term sociopath? Blake Lively. He also just straight up did a bad job. Schedules were always totally effed. Kept making things harder than they needed to be. I hope he is never in a position of power again because all he wants to do is abuse it. He legit thinks he's like a powerful Baha'i wizard. LOL. Oh, and Ryan Reynolds was on set whenever he could be, literally to try to protect his wife from JB and his friends and try to make her feel better, not to try to take over the movie like JB's PR was pushing. This person is such an RR plant. This is such a BLRR plant. And he's like, how does this person's friend know what they're feeling? Y'all, I'm so happy for Baldoni Files. Y'all, you know, the best way to find stuff, the best way to find tells is to go to the side that thinks that they're pulling up dirt on Justin. Because they have so many tells. I think this is a great place to find the tells. Because this is amazing. This is like a gold mine. Franklin said, Leslie said, I've never heard RR was ever on set. Is that a known thing? It was a known thing, or at least an assumed thing. People talked about it. I just didn't think that he was on set as much. But this is the same person that said that Steve Sarowitz was on set a lot, and he was not. Franklin said, Bocce, we love you for this, because my blood pressure could never. Cruzian said, if RR wanted to protect his wife, why not have her quit and sue earlier? Because it's all BS, that's why. This is very interesting because it still doesn't say anything about SH. It still doesn't say anything about SH. This is all about the Baha'i faith and how much they hate it. It is all about it. So they felt like okay, it sounds like maybe they were frustrated with they feel like it was mansplaining how to be a feminist. So maybe they felt mansplained. They called Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni toxic bros. And then he was always adding unnecessary crap to scenes. That maybe that's the first like little nod, right? Maybe the first little nod around what she claims that he did, but it's saying crap is different to me than he was trying to put like sex scenes into like all that stuff. This is unnecessary crap. Yeah, directing a big movie during a strike is not ideal at all, but they handled it super poorly. Okay, something happened during the strike. Do you hear that? We told you something happened during the strike. They're saying however they handled things during the strike, they handled it super poorly. Yeah, they didn't get the dailies, Franklin. Yeah. What else? They called him a delusional sociopath, which is very Blake Lively of them. He also did a straight up bad job. Again, making fun of him as a director. We're going to see that in text messages. I have no doubt because Blake Lively already shared one text message with Liz Plank, right? Calling them clowns. So best believe, do I think that she has text messages to Taylor Swift, to Ryan Reynolds, to anybody else making fun of Justin Baldoni and talking about how he does not know how to be a director? I'm not gonna bet you money because I've learned my lesson about doing that. But I'm saying I highly believe that there will be. And that's stuff that she's trying to withhold for as long as she can. Schedules were always totally effed. Kept making things harder than they needed it to be. Oh, here's another thing that sounds very like Blake Lively. Kept making things harder than they needed to be. Like being told no, you can't have the dailies. If he just did what I told him, he made it way harder. Just do what I ask or do what I tell you. This would not be a problem. I hope he is never in a position of power again. That's a lot of feelings. That's a lot of feelings for someone who's just talking for a friend because all he wants to do is abuse it. He legit thinks he's like a powerful Baha'i wizard, LOL. All of this terminology this person is using doesn't even have any association with Baha'i. This person absolutely loves to put down the Baha'i faith. And also, and then talks about Ryan Reynolds was on set whenever he could to protect his wife, which again is a Ryan Reynolds talking point, right? To protect his wife. Interesting, right? Let's see what else this person has to say. This person had a lot to say, it feels like. I know stuff that I can't say because it's so weird and distinctive. Okay, now the person remembered to claim it was a friend and could be traced back to my friend, but he is a low-key sociopath. But feel free to keep speculating instead of looking at the actual evidence coming out in legal form. LOL. Okay, again, low-key sociopath. Again, where is the SH? Why don't they talk about any SH? All about it is how weird their faith is. So they said a sociopath is typically defined as someone who exhibits a pattern of antisocial behaviors and attitudes, including manipulation, deceit, aggression, and a lack of empathy for others. Why does this sound like Blake Lively? Especially when she says to him, "Thank you for your empathy. I give it to you in return." Liar, liar. You did not give him any empathy. What a liar. This term is often associated with antisocial personality disorder, where individuals show little to no conscience and disregard societal norms. Sociopathy is not a normal diagnosis, but is commonly used to describe behaviors that significantly deviate from societal expectations. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it definitely feels like this person has talking points. I agree with that, Christina. Sorry for being brash with it. I'm honestly just so happy that this is finally more out there, because I've been sitting on it for over a year. And it just really sucked watching everyone pile onto the women involved while blindly believing the best in someone who did awful things. Who Okay, this is the first time that maybe, well, no, we don't know, because did awful things. I hated how sad my friend was during this experience. Was it a friend? Was it a friend? You keep bringing up this friend, but then forgetting that you brought up this friend and start talking like it's you. So funny. So I'm just glad it's finally more out there, because when I was trying to tell people 4 months ago, most people thought I was insane because they have a big hate for Blake. You definitely don't have to believe me. I'm glad you've given us permission not to believe you. I know it's vague, and I genuinely wish I could post especially one of the stories, because it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard. Just if you can, consider not writing too hard for him, because he is not a good person. This is, oh my words! Remember the people that were sneaking into content creators? That's exactly what the person said. The person said, don't say good things about Justin Baldoni, because she's gonna come out as a victim. So I wonder if this is one of the people that went into people's DMs. So you don't, okay, again, it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard. They love using the word bizarre. Does Dr. Leslie Dobson love to use the word bizarre? This person loves to use the word bizarre. Um, it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard. And he is not a good person. Also, it's said in the suit that Blake was made to do her PR in a more lighthearted way. Baldoni steered her in that direction and then proceeded to use it against her. Justin steered her in that direction? Justin steered her in that direction? The man was already locked out of the marketing conversation way before that. And being lighthearted doesn't mean sell your alcohol, and it doesn't mean lighthearted doesn't equal push Betty Buzz, Betty Booze, Blake Brown Beauty, and Deadpool and Wolverine. Where did you read that? That wasn't, if you were trying to read between the lines, those were not lines to be read at all. So this person claims that Baldoni steered uh, Blake Lively to do that PR, and then used it against her. That's not what any of the proof shows. The proof shows that Jamie Heath was trying to forewarn them about, like, not forewarn them, but telling them, hey, like, look at how people are responding. We really think that we should talk more about DV. They didn't even say that they were trying to withhold that from Blake Lively. They were suggesting it to Sony, saying, "Hey, we're not saying that you're the way you're promoting it is bad, but just saying, hey, listen to the audience who's giving you feedback that people should be talking about DV." Yes, I know, but he's also part of his Baha'i situation as well. The film itself was bought back by a very wealthy Baha'i friend, and they cast people from the religion in smaller roles, including friends. He fancies himself to be a Baha'i power player. From what I was told, this opportunity was part of an effort to make his career trajectory Baha'i Tom Cruise, allegedly. LOL. Okay, this was what I'm telling you. This was Les. This was a Les thing. This was a Les thing. This is what Les wanted. I've always wanted to know what story Les wanted to push out. This was it. I would not be surprised if we have proof that Les was trying to push out this kind of story about Justin Baldoni. It's the same talking point now. Instead of rich, now they're using wealthy Baha'i friend. It started off as rich, now it's wealthy Baha'i friend, and that he wanted to be the Baha'i Tom Cruise, and that they had issues with all these roles going to his friends who were also Baha'i, these smaller roles. Shannon said, is Robin Lively part of the Baha'i faith? Because she was cast in a small role. Ain't that the truth, Shannon? Convenient that they forgot about that. And then again, this Baha'i power player. Weird. Well, he just fancies himself as a Baha'i power player. One of the craziest things I've ever heard is from this set is like in terms of how he sees himself. But unfortunately, I can't post it because it would probably get tied directly back to my friend. So this person just keeps repeating the same sentiment over and over again, right? But at least they remember that it's their friend now. Twice they remembered it was supposed to be their friend versus them being like, I'm going to be found out to be the leak. Now they remember not to say that. They remember to say a friend. He's delusional and a bad person. And all of his Baha'i buddies that helped him get this opportunity in the first place, they were all extremely bad at their jobs. My friend mentioned how it felt weird finding out that so many Baha'i people were involved, and specifically mentioned the actor playing the doctor, but until reading the legal doc, had no idea how effed up the situation with the Baha'i actor doctor actually was. Psycho. I've said this in other comments, but the plan was for this to be the kind of jumping off point for him to be the Baha'i what Tom Cruise is to Scientology. LOL. So this person keeps repeating this sentiment, right? Now they're saying he's delusional, a bad person, and every single Baha'i person apparently were bad at their jobs. All Baha'i people, apparently, they're saying. So when they were saying that they were pushing misinformation about their faith, they weren't lying. They really tried to push the idea that anybody who says, oh, like Wayfarer weaponized their faith, no, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively weaponized the Baha'i faith against them. And it's weird for anyone to suggest that they're the ones weaponizing their Baha'i faith, because all they did was try to protect themselves from people who were trying to portray it as something different. And I think this is a really great wake-up call that this was really what Les was trying to push out. They got those stories killed, I think, but this was the kind of junk that they were trying to push out here.